Are plants intelligent? A new book, Brilliant Green, argues that not only are plants intelligent and sentient, but that we should consider their rights, especially in the midst of the sixth mass extinction. Plants are intelligent. Plants deserve rights. Plants are like the internet, or more accurately, the internet is like plants. To most of us, these statements may sound at best supportable or at worst crazy. But a new book, Brilliant Green, A Surprising History and Science of Plant Intelligence, by plant neurobiologist Stefano Mancuso and journalist Alessandra Viola, makes a compelling and fascinating case not only for plant sentience and smarts, but also plant rights. For centuries, Western philosophy and science largely viewed animals as unthinking automatons, simple slaves to instinct. But research in recent decades has shattered that view. We now know that not only are chimpanzees, dolphins, and elephants thinking, feeling, and personality-driven beings, but many others as well. Octopuses can use tools, whales sing, bees can count, crows demonstrate complex reasoning, paper wasps can recognize faces, and fish can differentiate types of music. All these examples have one thing in common: they are animals with brains. But plants don't have a brain. How can they solve problems? Act intelligently, or respond to stimuli without a brain. Intelligence, the ability to solve problems, and plants are amazingly good in solving their problems. Stefano Mancuso. Today's view of intelligence as of the product of brain in the same way that wine, urine is of the kidneys, is a huge oversimplification. A brain without a body produces the same amount of intelligence of the knot that it resembles, said Mancuso, who as well as co-writing Brilliant Green is director of the International Laboratory of Plant Neurobiology in Florida. As radical as Mancuso's ideas may seem, he's actually in good company. Charles Darwin, who studied plants meticulously for decades, was one of the first scientists to break from the crowd and recognize that plants move and respond to the sensation are sentient. Moreover, Darwin, who studied plants meticulously for most of his life, observed that the root tip, acts like the brain of the lower animals. Plants problem solvers. Plants face many of the same problems as animals. Though they differ significantly in their approach, plants have to find energy to produce and starve off predators to do these things. Mancuso argues plants have developed smarts and sentience. Intelligence is the ability to solve problems, and plants are amazingly good in solving their problems, Mancuso noted. To solve their energy needs, most plants turn to the sun. In some cases, literally, plants are able to grow through shady areas to locate light, and many even turn their leaves during the day to capture the best light. Some plants have taken a different route, however, supplying themselves with energy by preying on animals, including everything from insects to mice to even birds. The Venus flytrap may be the most famous of these, that there are at least 600 species of animals eating flora in order to do this. These plants have evolved complex rules and rapid reactions to catch, hold, and devour animals. Plants are also harness animals in order to reproduce. Many plants use complex trickery or provide snacks and advertisements, colors, to lure in pollinators, communicating either through direct deception or rewards. New research finds that some plants even distinguish between different pollinators and only germinate their pollen for the best. Finally, plants have evolved an incredible variety of toxic compounds to ward out predators. When attacked by an insect, many plants release a specific chemical compound, but they don't just throw out compounds, but often release of the precious chemical only in the leaf that is under attack. Plants are both tricky and thrifty. Each choice a plant makes is face. What's the smallest quantity? Resources that will serve to solve the problem. When Mancuso and Viola write on their book, in other words, plants don't just act to the threats or opportunities, but most decides how far to react. The bottom of the plant may be the most sophisticated of all true. Scientists have observed that roots do not flounder randomly, but research for the best position to take in water. avoid competition, and gamer chemicals. In some cases, roots obstacle, showing that plants are capable of seeing an obstacle through their many senses. Humans have five basic senses, but scientists have discovered that plants have at least 20 different senses used to monitor complex conditions in the environment. According to Mancuso, they have senses that roughly correspond to our five, but only have additional ones that can do such things as measure humidity, detect gravity, and sense electromagnetic fields. Plants are also complex communicators. Today, scientists know that plants communicate in a variety of ways. The most well-known of these is chemical molecules. Why some plants smell so good and others awful? But scientists have also discovered that plants also communicate by electrical signals and even vibrations. Plants are wonderful communicators. They share a lot of information with neighboring plants or with other organisms such as insects or other animals. The scent of a rose or something less fascinating as a stench of rotting meat produced by some flowers is a message for pollinators. Many plants will even warn others of their species when danger is near. If attacked by an insect, a plant will send a chemical signal to their fellow as if to say, "Hey, I'm being eaten," so prepare for defenses. Researchers have even discovered that plants recognize their close kin, react differently to plants from the same parent as those from a different parent. In the last several decades, science has been showing that plants are endowed with feeling, weave complex social relations, and can communicate with themselves and with animals. Wright, Mancuso, and Royla would also argue that plants show behaviors similar to sleeping and playing. Plants are mainly multicellular, predominantly photosynthetic eukaryotes of the kingdom Plantae. The term is today generally limited to the green plants, which form an unclaimed period de Plantae, Latin for green plants. This includes the flowering plants, conifers, and other ferns, club mosses, hornworts, liverworts, mosses, and the green algae, and includes the red and brown algae. Historically, plants form one of two kingdoms covering all living things that were not animals, and both algae and fungi were treated as plants. However, all current definitions of plant exclude the fungi and some algae as well as the eukaryotes, the archaea and bacteria. Green plants have cell walls containing cellulose and obtain most energy from sunlight via photosynthesis by primary chloroplasts derived from endosbiosis with cyanobacteria. Their chloroplasts contain chlorophylls A and V, which gives them their green color. Some plants are parasitic and have lost the ability to produce normal amounts of chlorophyll or to photosynthesize. Plants are characterized by sexual reproduction and alternation of generations. Although asexual reproduction is also common, there are about 300 to 315,000 species of plants, of which the great majority, some 260 to 290,000, are seed plants. Green plants provide a substantial proportion of the world's molecular oxygen and are the basis of most of Earth's ecology. Especially on land, plants that reproduce grains, fruits, and vegetables form humankind's basic foodstuffs and have been domesticated for millennia. Plants play many roles in culture. They are used as ornaments and, until recently and in great variety, they have served one of the source of the medicines and drugs. The medicines study of plants is known as botany, a branch of biology. The importance of plants to humans and just about all other life on Earth is stagnating. Life, as we know, it would not be possible without plants. Why are plants so important? Plants supply food to nearly all terrestrial organisms, including humans. We eat either plants or other organisms that eat plants. Plants maintain the atmosphere. They produce oxygen and absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. Oxygen is essential for cellular respiration. for all aerobic organisms. It also maintains the ozone layer that helps protect Earth's life from damaging UV radiation. Removal of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere reduces the greenhouse effect and global warming. Plants recycle matter in biochemical cycles. For example, through transportations, plants move enormous amounts of water from the soil to the atmosphere. Plants such as bees host bacteria that fix nitrogen. This makes nitrogen available to all plants which pass it on to consumers. Plants provide many products for human use, such as firewood, timber, fiber, medicines, dyes, pesticides, oils, and rubbers. Plants create habitats for many organisms. A single tree may provide food and shelter to many species of insects, worms, small mammals, birds, and reptiles. We obviously can't live without plants, but sometimes they cause us problems. Many plants are weeds. Weeds are plants that grow where people don't want them, such as gardens and lawns. They take up space and use resources, hindering the growth of more desirable plants. People often introduce plants to new habitats where they lack natural predators and parasites. The introduced parts may spread rapidly and drive out native plants. Many plants produce pollen, which can cause allergies. Plants may also produce toxins that harm human health. More than 100,000 natural compounds come from plants, and most of these have yet to be explored. Some of the most powerful and useful compounds come from plants. Who knew they could help us unlock some of the biology's mysteries, all using an approach of mapping biological pathways?